Hi, this is the OG art teacher, and I am going to go over how to do one-point perspective. First, you'll need a straight edge. A straight edge can be made out of anything. This is a piece of mail that I received in an order for my tortoise. So with whatever you've got, fold it in half, hot dog style, I suppose is what they call it these days, old school. And then fold it in half again. That's going to get recycled or thrown away. You have a straight edge, which will help you very much with one-point perspective. With one-point perspective, you are going to draw a horizon line, which means that it is a line that separates the sky from the ground, or it's the furthest you can see in front of you in one way or another. So using your straight edge, line it up with the sides of the paper and draw a light line going across. So this is called a horizon line. It's also a horizontal line, which goes side to side. It's also a thin line. It's also a straight line. I typically, just in teaching, will start in the middle, but your vanishing point, which is right here, can go anywhere on this line. Okay, so stuff that is closer to us would be in the foreground, and it's going to be closer to the bottom of the page. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a square down here, a rectangle a little closer to the middle ground, which is just the middle of the paper, and a triangle. No, I'm going to stick with squares and rectangles for this one. They can be any different size, they can be wherever you want them to be, as long as you understand that each of these four corners always goes to the vanishing point. So using your straight edge, line up, I'll call this corner A, B, C, and D. Line up your straight edge with corner A and draw a very, very light line to the vanishing point. You're going to be erasing, so it's important to make sure that you draw light lines. From corner B, draw a diagonal line to the vanishing point. From corner D, draw a line to that vanishing point. And as you can see, I drew a very large vanishing point, and all of my diagonals are going all over the place. This is an example of a mistake. So I'm going to make a smaller vanishing point right over here and ignore what I did at the top and use the bottom to do a correct version. So we have A, B, C, and D. I want to point out in the top one that lines that cross over the front face of the object are not going to be seen unless you're drawing a glass see-through cube or some type of thing like that. So going back to the rectangle at the bottom, using your straight edge, either at the correct, at whatever point you've decided is going to be your vanishing point, line it up with the vanishing point and the corner. So we did corner A. Now we're going to do corner B. So I put my pencil on corner B, and then I slide this straight edge around so that it matches up with corner B and the vanishing point. Corner D, is getting crossed over by the straight edge, so I'm not going to bother drawing corner D, because we're not actually going to see the back of corner D. Corner C, I think, is going to be the exact same way, so we're not going to have to draw those. The next step is to draw a top to your rectangle, which is going to become a rectangular prism, by drawing a parallel line to the top line and the bottom of the paper and the top of the paper, by connecting your two diagonal lines. So what I like to do is line up my straight edge with the top of the shape that I'm working on and slide it up until I have a space that fits what I'm trying to do. This line can go anywhere. It can be really close, it can be really far, as long as it connects the diagonal lines to each other. Then I'm going to erase the extra lines, and I have now drawn an odd looking rectangular prism. For the square, we should see more sides to this square. Let's do A, B, C, and D. Using corner A as our starting point, putting the pencil on A and then the vanishing point, and then using a very light line to draw all the way to that corner. Once you master this, you don't have to draw the line all the way to the corner. Excuse me. Okay, for corner B, we're going to put our pencil on that corner, line it up with the tiny vanishing point, and draw the diagonal line. Corner C, this time, does not cross over the square, so we're going to draw a line from there. And then corner D does cross over directly, so we don't have to draw that because the back is going to be blocked. Now, using your straight edge up against the side, we're going to create a line connecting line B and line C. This line should be parallel to the sides of the paper, so it should be parallel, 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 parallel. And then on line A to B, I'm going to shift up the straight edge until I hit the corner of the line that I drew, the vertical line that I drew, and I'm going to draw a horizontal line. This horizontal line should be parallel to the top and bottom of your paper, the top and bottom of your square. Then you can go in and reinforce your lines and erase any of the other guide lines that are going toward that vanishing point. So as you can see, this is how we create three-dimensional forms from two-dimensional shapes. I'm going to go back into this one and fix it so that it goes to the smaller vanishing point. So we had A, B, C, and D. A is going to go diagonally to that point. B crosses over the object, so we're not going to bother drawing a line there. C can go straight to that vanishing point. And D, even though the straight edge would continue crossing over, because the diagonal line is not going to cross over the body of the shape, we're still going to draw the line. Now we're going to connect C and D further down by lining up the straight edge and then sliding it over and connecting those two diagonal lines. This line should be parallel to this line, parallel to this line, and parallel to the sides of the paper. And then we're going to connect A and D by sliding the straight edge down until we hit the bottom of the line we just drew, and now that is the bottom of our shape, or form rather. A shape is flat and does not have sides to it. A form has volume, it looks 3D, it has multiple sides and multiple views. So we know that behind this there's, you know, a back, but we're not going to see that. Again, we're not going to see that unless we're drawing something that is clear or see-through. Stuff that is above the horizon line, you'll see the bottom. Stuff that's below the horizon line, you'll see the top, as in these two examples. And stuff that is on top of the horizon line, you will only see the side that goes toward the vanishing point. So each corner, going and deciding how long we want our box or wall to be, we can add a diagonal. If I wanted this to be like a brick wall that just was gonna be here and go all the way to the distance, then I don't have to add any diagonal lines. And if I wanted to add actual bricks going all the way, I would use the front face to create more spots to go to the vanishing point, and then make sure I'm doing parallel lines. And as it gets like further away from us or closer to the vanishing point, the bricks are going to appear smaller and smaller and smaller. With bricks, it's important to alternate where the lines are. If the lines touch, you're going to have a grid. Bricks should look like a grid gone wrong, sort of. So as you can see, now we have a brick wall going into the distance. If the sun were over here, the brick wall would cast a shadow, and this side of the brick wall would be dark, while this side might have a little bit of light on it, but it would be dark toward the corner. If the sun were shining down onto this shape down here, we'd have shading here and a little bit right below. This side would be dark because the light's coming from here. You would have the brightest on top, and you might have a really dark front or a light front, depending on how the sun is feeling that day, I suppose, or what your choices are. And on this one, it would cast a shadow more than it would have any kind of real shading on top. So that's the messy version of shading with 1-point perspective. I do this unscripted, so if I got a little confusing in here, I apologize. I appreciate the time that you are taking to work on bettering your art skills, and my next video will be 2-point perspective.